So this afternoon, I'm thrilled to be having a chat with Dr. Charles Levinson, who is the founder of Doctorcall that started back in 1989. Thank you, Charles, very much for having a chat with me today. What prompted you to start Doctorcall?
So I wanted to work for myself. I had originally intended a career in the NHS, and I worked in some central London teaching hospitals where I worked for the great and the good of the NHS. And I learned that they were disillusioned and that they couldn't do their jobs properly because the infrastructure wasn't there. And I just thought, this is miserable life. So I just wanted to set up on my own.
Okay, and how has the company? So can you explain though what Doctorcall sort of encompasses?
So, as the name suggests, we are a visiting doctor service. It is a sort of dial a doctor, and out we come, and to do home visits. Since I started it back in 1989, I added various other bits that there was a demand for, and it actually turned into a bit of a sort of monster. There were too many bits. We had a number of private GP clinics. We had all sorts of things going on. We have streamlined it. We've sold the clinics, and we are focused on our core business again, which is the visiting doctor service, and one other strand which we decided to keep because we are the market leader in it, which is on-site vaccinations for companies.
Brilliant idea. And do you have to be a member to use the Doctorcall service?
You can use it as a one-off user, but we prefer people to be a member because we have a very high reuse rate. So a lot of people who call us have called us before, and it just enables us to provide continuity. We get your medical records, we allocate you a regular doctor, and so on. So it's I think it's better.
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. And how's the company evolved over the years?
So when I started it, I didn't really know who was going to use it or how it was going to work. I just knew that at the time, NHS doctors were refusing to do home visits. It was just the moment when there was until then a legal requirement that your doctor would come and visit you and provide a 24-hour service. And that requirement was removed. And I thought there was nothing wrong with providing a home visiting service if that's what you were set up to do. And what was difficult was for these doctors to be a doctor in the surgery in the day and be doing visits at night. So that was really the idea, but I didn't know beyond that really how it was going to work. So I rented a room from my sister-in-law, who had a house in Chelsea where she rented out rooms, and it was quite a sort of hippie-ish setup. And I had a room there, and I was the only doctor. A family friend became my part-time secretary. People would ring up. She'd sort of glance across to me and say, and say, yes, no, he can be there in 20 minutes. And I'd rush out of the door and go and visit. And it was very much a sort of homespun thing. And it was the hippie-ish people who rented rooms in the house. At one point, one of them even came in and tried to cadge some cigarettes from me while I was doing a live radio interview, which was very stressful. But anyway, so it went from that to quite soon I was able to get other doctors to do nights and weekends, because that was they didn't mind doing nights and weekends if they didn't get very many visits. It was just extra thing. But long time to build up to the point that there were enough visits in the day that I could afford to employ a proper full-time doctor.
Yeah, okay. And how many doctors have you got working in the Doctorcall network?
So we employ about 30 doctors.
Yeah.
And then GPs, and then we have a network of about 80 who we call upon from time to time as well.
Okay, and how so it's in London, but what is the perimeter? What's classified as somebody being able to get a visit?
It is in London, and it's Greater London, so it's M25.
Yeah.
But we increasingly do what we call telemedicine, which is either video or telephone consultations. So we can, in that way, treat people who are outside London. And also, we have a network of doctors across the UK who we can call upon. So we have quite a lot of corporate contracts, national corporate contracts
Okay.
with
Yeah.
insurance companies and assistance companies and so on, where we provide a national service. But
Yeah.
our proper core service is Greater London.
Yeah. Okay. And what would you say makes Doctorcall different or unique from others in the industry?
Probably the thing that makes us stand out most is because we've been going for so long, we've got very slick systems.
Yeah.
So our IT is particularly key. So that what used to happen until we had what we have now is, and what I think has to happen elsewhere is, you would ring up and say, I need a doctor, but when can he get here? Because again, a lot of what we do is fairly urgent. And so the person answering the phone would look at where our doctors were and guess and say, well, I think it'll probably be X. And I also have identified which doctor I think will be the most sensible one to send you, but I will need to speak to that doctor and confirm. And then, of course, the doctor wouldn't answer his phone because he'd either be driving or he'd be with a patient. And by the time they'd got back to the patient, if it was really urgent, they'd have given up and gone to A&E, and that was
Died.
really
Oh,
yeah. So that wasn't very good. But what happens now is that it's all controlled by IT. The system knows where all the doctors are, it tracks them geolocates them, and it knows what the traffic's like, and it actually, what it does is every 4 minutes it reallocates all the calls, so that, because things can change, an urgent call might come in, or a doctor might spend longer than anticipated somewhere, and so on. So it keeps rejuggling them. The result is pretty efficient. So you can ring up, or you can go online on our website, put in it has to be a London postcode, put in London or address or postcode, and it'll say 38 minutes or 73 minutes or whatever it says, and that'll be pretty accurate. So
it's a bit like an Uber.
Yeah, I think hopefully, unlike Uber, we don't say there's no driver available in your area.
No, I had that last week actually in the pouring rain in London.
We do work with Uber quite a lot. We know Uber very well.
Yes. Which services does Doctorcall offer to businesses?
So we do a number of things for businesses. The biggest thing we do for businesses is on-site vaccinations, of which the main one is flu. Any of the above, but flu in particular can sort of rip through the workforce, and so cause unplanned mass absence, which can be really difficult for companies. So that's probably the biggest corporate thing. We also do COVID vaccinations and various other companies, but flu is probably the biggest thing. But also we do all sorts of things with companies. We do on-site clinics, so we have a doctor who will go in and run a GP clinic in the company one afternoon a week or 2 half days a week, and which just helps reduce time off people take to go and see their doctor.
Fantastic. So anybody who wants to become a member, they need to, well, we will provide a link to your website. Is that the best way?
That's the easiest way, or we have people on the phone 24/7, which we think is really important, because everyone likes websites. So either.
They can get the number from the website. Thank you, Charles. That was very interesting, and it's a brilliant service which a lot of people find very useful, and I'm sure there'll be members who want to make use of your service as well.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Nice talking to you.